So think of autograph stories. Approaching an athlete, the more obscure, the better. A celebrity, were you nervous? Where were you? What was the interaction like? Think of that. Because I want to get your help here. At 312-644-6767. I've never been an autograph seeker. I don't like doing it. I feel like I'm bothering someone. And sure, I guess you would rather have the autograph than not. But I just feel like I'm being such a jerk. Especially if you see someone that's with their family, they're not working. I've just never been an autograph guy. I do remember one time, random name, I do remember hanging out by the Cubs players lot. And this is when you always had a bunch of kids hang out there, try to get some autographs. I do remember getting Rick Wilkins' autograph. Now, that is big time, folks. That's that one really good year that Rick Wilkins had. But think about the times when you did it, you approach someone about an autograph, how it went. The more obscure, the better. The crazier the interaction, the better. So I thought of this because of Jordan Spieth. He's in the news. Well, we're not around a major yet, so why is Jordan Spieth in the news? Because he spoke out against something. And I'm with him 100%. He was getting hassled by some autograph seekers, and he didn't like it at all. This was at a press conference earlier this week. They've got Pebble Beach going on this weekend. As you mentioned in the update, he's actually your co-leader right now. But, Mike, this is Jordan Spieth earlier this week talking about autograph seekers. We got that?
I'm not appreciative of people who travel to benefit off other people's success, and just, we're out here to – I enjoy signing and sign for kids whenever we get the chance, and when these guys have these items that you've already seen online, and people – our team keeps track of that kind of stuff, and these guys that just have bags of stuff to benefit from other people's success when they didn't do anything themselves. Go get a job instead of trying to make money off of the stuff that we've been able to do. We like to sign stuff for charity stuff or for kids or and if you ask anybody universally, it's the same way. They just they frustrate us, and so I turned around and one of them dropped an F-bomb in front of 3 kids, so I felt the need to turn around and tell them that wasn't right, and a couple of them were saying, "You're not Tiger Woods. Don't act like you're Tiger." I'm just like, whatever, guys, So you're still trying to benefit off me, and I'm not even Tiger Woods.
Good for Jordan Spieth, man. That's awesome. I don't have any problem about asking for an autograph. None at all. But yeah, you are scum. Get a job. Stop trying to make money off of Jordan Spieth. Now, if you're an adult and you plan on, I don't know, putting it in a frame in your house or it's for a kid, that's fine. I don't mind that. But it's pretty obvious for those that are trying to make a living off of it. And then you come at, well, you're not Tiger. Shut up. One of the top golfers in the world. Shut your mouth. And he's going to be for a very long time. Good for Jordan. I love that. See, now I like Spieth a little bit more. I've actually always liked him. It feels like he doesn't get just due because of that. He's not Tiger Woods because he doesn't have a crazy personality. That dude is just so damn consistent. He's there all the time. And good for him speaking out. I love that. Love that. Take a chance. Is there a lot of upside in speaking out against those people? Probably not. You're not going to play it safe all the time. Love it. So what I want to hear from you guys, just take a spin off of that. Autograph stories, autograph interactions, celebrity, athletes. What do you got? 312-644-6767. Calling is much better. You can also tweet. A few people tweeting at Joe0670 and some text at 67011. Let's go up to Milwaukee. Eric, you're on 670 The Score, Joe Ostrowski.
Oh, thanks. It's funny because of the fact that, it sucks because a person like that kind of ruins everything for everybody. It's like I would simply want the autograph just because of the fact I wanted to meet that person. But
Yeah,
when
you're just looking for that maybe 30-second interaction, and that's something that you'll remember for a very long time.
Exactly, and that's, for me, what was great for me was the fact that I worked at a paintball place right outside of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So we had some Green Bay Packer players that would come up there every once in a while, and I would, get to meet with them, play with them, paintball wise. And it was just awesome because of the fact that at least I didn't feel like I was like, trying to get their autograph as an adult and be stupid about it. But it was just funny because one of the stupidest autographs I ever got was a guy from T.J. Rubley. I don't know if you ever remember him.
The quarterback?
Yeah. He was so arrogant when he signed it.
Really?
And, oh yeah, it was so funny because Gilbert Brown was there, Aaron Taylor, there was a whole bunch of guys, but he was the worst when it came to he thought he was the best thing in the world.
God, yeah, I know. Well, some of these guys, they've been told that their entire lives, so that they actually begin to think it at some point. I do remember another autograph story I'll share in just a moment. Mark in South Barrington has been holding. What's going on, Mark?
Well, mine happened many years ago, as you'll soon realize. My wife at the time and I and two other couples were at Victoria Station near Woodfield. And you may remember Victoria Station was made out of boxcars. Anyway, we're sitting there. Guy and his wife maybe come and sit at the next table. And I said to my group, "Hey, that's Phil Buck there." "Is it? Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." "Okay." So we went ahead with what we were doing. He's having dinner with his family like he should be able to do.
Yeah.
Well, some guy's walking from car to car. He's, "Oh, man, Phil Buckner. Oh, wow. Whoa." He says, "Can I have your autograph?" Buckner says, "Sure." He gives him the autograph. That wasn't good enough. This guy stood there and made a jerk of himself for about 15 minutes, just having a conversation, Then finally, it was bad enough where we were getting irritated with him. Well, finally, the big moment came. The guy was actually going to shut up and leave. He said, "Well, I'll see you out there in the spring." And Buckner says, "Why, are you on the team?" Which I thought was hilarious. I gave Buckner a thumbs up on it. You can tell he liked the fact that we respected his privacy,
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the phone call, Mark. Some good stuff there. Okay, so, yeah, I mentioned I'm not a big autograph guy. I mentioned a random Rick Wilkins interaction, but I just remembered because I completely forgot about this. So one time I went to Bears camp when, God, I don't know, it was preteen, maybe 11 or something. It was the only time I went to Bears camp as a kid. And I had the Bears media guide. At the time, my dad was a season ticket holder, so we always get the Bears media guide. And I used that to get a bunch of autographs. And when I went, it was awesome because you could just walk in Platteville. You just walk right up to all the players, and they're just walking down the road. Just kind of talk to them for a minute. And once you get the stones to go up to one guy as a kid, and you get an autograph, and it was a cool thing, then you feel good about going up to any player. Now I'm looking at this 91 roster, and I'm trying to remember. There's some names on here. I definitely got autographs from that year. The most random names. P.T. Willis. I know I got Johnny Bailey. It's great on special teams. I think I got Tommy Waddle. I think so. Mike Stonebreaker. Okay, he's not on this roster, but I know I got his autograph. I was a big Notre Dame fan. I don't think he made the team that year. Who else is on this list? I know a couple guys in the secondary. I'm positive I got John Magnum's autograph. Lemonhead, Lemuel Stinson, got his. Donnell Wolford, that might have been the best one that year. Got his. Oh, yeah, I see Stonebreaker on here. I think John Roper, too. What was wrong with me? Nothing against a lot of these guys, especially Donnell Wolford. But so I was only ballsy enough to go up to a lot of the different bums on the team. No, you know what? I got Trace Armstrong's autograph too. But that was really cool. I don't think the access is quite the same anymore. Tweet. Here's from James Fox, a regular tweeter. I met Dickie Simpkins at Brookfield Zoo as a kid. Just an odd interaction there. 312-644-6767. In Rolling Meadows, Vinny, you're on the score.
Hi. I met Stan Thomas was at a bar in Palatine one night on a Thursday night.
Is this when he was playing?
This is when he was playing. It was on a Thursday night. And it was actually the week after he actually had his best game ever as a Bear. He kind of dominated Chris Dolman of Minnesota. It was about the only good game he had in his whole career. And he was walking around like he was Anthony Munoz.
Oh, God. He's such a bum. Dicka loved him, right? That's who made the call on that pick, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the next great thing, and, no.
So did he not want to give the autograph, or was he being a jerk?
No, yeah. He actually gave me an autograph, and then I recognized him and acknowledged that he had a great game against Dolman. He actually bought me a beer.
Oh, that's cool. Seems like he was in a good mood, feeling good. Adam in Sycamore, you have an autograph story for me?
Yeah. Hey, first-time caller. Love the show, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, so about 7 years ago, my dad and I were at a NASCAR race in Bristol. We had pit passes, right? And so we're standing by the trailers. Drivers are going to their drivers' meeting. We're getting autographs from Jimmy Johnson or Earnhardt Jr. They're all walking and signing at the same time because they're in a hurry. So out comes Juan Pablo Montoya. Now, at the time, I think it was his first year in NASCAR, everybody hated him. I didn't understand why. I thought he was okay. So my dad walks up to him as he's walking, says, hey, can I get an autograph? And he says, no, I don't have time for you. So my dad, he wasn't too stupid, but he says, he's like, come on, guy, can you walk and give me an autograph real quick? And so Montoya stops in his tracks, turns around and looks at him and says, buddy, I told you I don't have time for you. Go away.
Wow.
Yeah. It was funny. I mean, it wasn't. We had a laugh about it, but.
Well, now you laugh about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the funny things that happened to us. And then during the race, of course, we wanted him to crash and stuff, but we're not.
Wait a
we
second.
don't want people to crash. But
Adam. No. I know that's exactly what happened because he was such a jerk that you wanted him to crash.
Normally we don't want people to crash.
Oh, good.
Cool, but
that's nice.
He was a jerk, and in the moment we were like, you know what? I hope he crashes. Not getting hurt, but I hope he crashes.
Wow.
He gets out of this race.
Wow. Adam doesn't want him just to lose. He wants him to get in a crash. That's pretty strong. All right. I get it, though. I don't really, actually. Well, maybe I do. Some people. I mean, I would only like half of my coworkers to get in a crash. Only half of them. It's not a big deal. Don't worry, Mike. You're not one of them.
Half sounds about right, though.
Okay, you know what I'm realizing? That I'm more of an autograph guy than I remember, at least when I was a kid, because a texter just reminded me of another time that I was going after a bunch of autographs. Okay, this is from the 708. Albert Bell refused to sign the Indians card the kid in front of me had. This was at White Sox Fan Appreciation Day. The kid cried. So I also went to spring training one year, a family trip down to Florida. And at the time, I don't even know if they're still down there, the Indians had spring training there. Orioles, I think. I know the Astros were close. But one of the 2 days that we went to spring training, and my dad went and saw the Indians, that was with that loaded team. Albert Bell, Carlos Baerga, Sandy Alomar. Such a good team. I got all the superstars' autographs on the Indians. Charles Nagy was their top starter that year. And you know what's funny? Is a bunch of us kids kind of pointing out Albert Bell, but very nervous to go up there. Went up to him. Couldn't have been nicer. And you hear all these horrible stories about Albert Bell. He was so nice. I was so nervous going up to him. But he signed. He was great. So if you're an autograph seeker, Jordan Spieth hates you. But we're talking about some of the funny and not so funny interactions you've had trying to get autographs. 312-644-6767. 67-67. Joe O with you. You've got the score. A lot of people checking in here on Sports Radio 670 The Score. My name's Joe Ostrowski. So, you autograph seekers, Jordan Spieth says you're scum. Well, certain ones, I will agree with him 100%. So, we're getting your odd autograph stories going up to athletes, celebrities. Tell us about your experience. Anything weird going on? How nervous were you? All that stuff. Let's go to Westchester. Pistol Pat, you're on the score.
Hey, Joe, great show, of course.
Thank you, Pat.
I got a great story. Me and my brother went to this Rosemont Convention baseball card show one time, like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And Mario Lemieux and Gordie Howe were there, and we were like big hockey fans of those guys. And the next booth over was Tyler Thomas, the ex-Bull or whatever he was Bull at the time. Now, here's the kicker. Me and my brother get their autographs. They're down-to-earth people, great people, Lemieux and Gordy, real down, telling us stories and stuff, getting pictures, shaking hands. They're great people. Tyler Thomas is with his age and arrogant son of a gun, and he's looking at the booth next to him, which was Gordie Howe and Lemieux. All the people are there shaking their hand. And he's just like up on himself, thinking he's above everything. Mm-hmm. And he's wondering why basketball players get a bad model because they do, they think they're, I'm a great athlete and all, yeah. But the Gordie Howe and the Mario Lemieux, great people. They're down to earth. They're not like stuck up or anything. They tell you stories. They shake your hand. They want to know about your life and stuff. But the guy next door, Tyler Thomas, what a wasted draft pick, I said. I mean, come on, that guy was a buster. They should have kept Aldridge. I mean, what the? I mean,
yeah. I understand.
I can say, Joe, you're a big hockey fan. You know those guys. Gordie Howe signed Mr. Hockey on my puck. He's down to earth, want to know how I was doing and stuff. And Mario Lemieux, class guy, he's a tough autograph to get to because that's why we went there, because he's a tough all. And I went there because I respect those guys. I look up to those guys. Now, the Tyler Thomas guy, you could have that guy. But that's all I could say, Joe. But
good stuff, Pat. I appreciate it. Well, my whole thing there is, and you're going to run into some of that, and Tyrese Thomas is paid to be there. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. I get it. You're going to have bad interactions with some guys. I understand it. But why sign up? That's part of the deal. Can you smile? Can you talk with people for a few minutes? That's the job. That's what you're there to do. Here in the city, Alex, you're on the score. Hey, Alex.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, my wife and kid and I were down at the Epcot Center, and we're sitting in the German Exposition having dinner, and I look over to the left of me, and there's two guys that you can't mix that are both like 6'11", 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
And just asked them, you guys are the Lopez brothers from Stanford, right? And they go, yeah, we are. I go, well, cool. I appreciate the way you guys played. Left them alone. There must have been 100 people came up to them and bothered the living crap out of them.
Yeah.
And as we got up to leave, they go, the two guys next to you paid for your tip, paid for your dinner, and left you these autographs. And that was one of the coolest things I ever saw.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. There's a couple I see that I've got to get to. Let's go to Michael in LaGrange Park. Yeah, Mike Chen on the other side of the glass is laughing. He's like, yeah, there's a few that you got to get to. I'm seeing on my screen, it has name and location, obviously, and then it says comments. Jordan bathroom story. So I need this one. What's going on, Michael?
Hey, how are you? Okay, so my roommate went to just start his shift at 4 p.m. at a bar that was downtown Chicago. It was like a club, like a slash club half bar, like real big place at 4 p.m. I get a text message from him right after he starts his shift, and that said, Michael Jordan is here. That's it. That's a text. So, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. So I immediately hop on a bus. I'm there in a half hour. The place is kind of empty. Sure enough, he's in a section that is a level with us, not like a VIP section, but he's there with like 5 guys, 5 of his buddies, and they're just eating food. It was a Monday night, so I'm guessing they were there for the Monday Night Football game, whatever. This was back in like 2008. Mm-hmm. So anyway, after like a couple hours, the place starts to fill up, and I'm sure word of mouth got around that he was there. Totally fills up, gets real packed. And then I've had a few drinks too. Like I'm sitting at the bar with my roommate who's bartending. So I lose sight of him. I lose track of him altogether. I'm a little tipsy. I go in the bathroom. he's in the bathroom. I didn't know that. He had just finished using the bathroom, so he's walking towards the sink. I had no idea he was in there. So I walk in. I'm face-to-face with him. There's like 4 other guys in there, too. No one's talking to him. And apparently he was with, like, a bodyguard-type person. So as a joke, you know, like I wasn't really asking him for his autograph. Like, it's not like I'm going to make him sign a napkin. But I go, hey, this would be a bad time to ask you for an autograph, right? And his bodyguard goes, yeah, man.
Did MJ just keep walking?
Yeah, he smiled and he was washing his hands, and there was he was with a big bodyguard, and he was, there was no interaction. There was, I'm sure he just wanted to get back to his. But hey, I mean, like, I don't get starstruck easily, but I'm like 37 years old, so I was a kid and I was a teenager all throughout the night.
Dude.
So I was starstruck.
Man, let me tell you, if I'm an adult and I do this for a living, I'm pretty sure I would be starstruck if Jordan was sitting across the table from me.
Absolutely. Like when I got there and we were watching, I was just like, you try not to stare and want him to see you staring, but I was staring. It's hard not to stare at Michael Jordan.
That's MJ, man. Thank you, Michael. Good stuff there. We'll continue to take some of these stories. I absolutely love this. This is great stuff coming up after this update. Thanks for hanging out late on a Friday, early on a Saturday on Sports Radio 670 The Score. My name's Joe Ostrowski. I've been on, if you've been listening around this time slot, the last 4 nights, and it looks like the schedule says I'm on a bunch next week too, but I have a question about Monday. Monday's schedule says Lawrence Holmes is hosting, but Lawrence Holmes says he's not hosting, so I don't know what's happening. I know I'm on Tuesday 10 to 12, Wednesday 6 to 10, and Friday 6 to 10. I'm positive about those, but I'm not sure if I'm hosting on Monday or not at 6. Lawrence says I am, schedule says I'm not. So I don't know who I listen to. Do I listen to the bosses or do I listen to Lawrence? I'll find out eventually over the weekend. I'm not on this weekend. I do know that. In case you really do care. Don't know if you do. When I am on, I mention it on Twitter, @Joe0670, @Joe0670. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm looking for some good stories. There's some good ones here. Southside Keith, you're on the score.
Hey, good morning, Joe.
What's up, Keith?
Yeah, I'll make mine real quick because I want to hear some of the other people's stories. But I was about 8 years old. My dad is from Minnesota, or was from Minnesota. And there's one summer I got to spend with him. He finally took me to a Minnesota Twins game. And I was able to get Rod Carew's autograph on one of the replica batting helmets.
Was that a giveaway that day?
No, because, back I guess back then, really the only way you could get, the replica batting helmets is when you went to games and you bought one from the vendor.
Yeah, okay.
And so when my mom sent me up there to, be with my dad that summer, I bugged him, to take me to a game, so he finally took me to one. And I bought one, with the money I made, cutting lawns and stuff. So when I got Rod Carew to sign it, I was, of course, very happy and just, tickled pink. So when I brought it home back to Chicago and I, put it in my room, my mom didn't know who Rod Carew was. So she was like, did you know some kid named Rod Carey on your hat?
Yeah.
And she washed it off with Windex.
Oh no!
I cried for like 3 days.
Oh, Keith, I'm sorry, man. That's brutal. Windex, man, I can't get this off. Scrub. Damn, what'll work? We need some Windex. Why did my son's friend Rod Carey write his name on his hat? That's very mean. I don't like that at all. That is awesome. Kyle in Crystal Lake, what's up?
Hey, Joe, thanks for taking my call. My story is actually about a celebrity actually approaching me with an autograph. I don't like to ask for autographs. I never really have. I just, not judging, but something about a grown man asking for autographs is I just don't do it. So I'm a golf professional. Ron Santo, I hosted his JDRF outing when obviously he was still alive. And as I'm going through all the particulars about the outing, it comes out that I'm, a huge Cubs fan, and Ron Santo's my favorite Cub, hero, blah blah. Mm-hmm. And so this apparently got to Ron, during the outing. So I'm upstairs in the banquet room before the outing's finished, and I'm kind of looking out over, seeing basic play and whatnot. And I turn around to go in the banquet. Ron's right behind me, and he says, "So I heard you're a pretty big fan of me." And I'm kind of like, "Yeah." So yeah, I am. And he's like, "Well, here, I want to sign a baseball for you." And I'm like, "Ron, you don't have to do that." And he's like, "No, I want to." And so he signed a ball for me. And apparently that wasn't enough for him. And this just really speaks to who Ron is, or Ron was. Ron goes, "Hey, are you busy?" And I'm like, "Well, not right now." It looks like so about an hour before they get in. He goes, "Why don't you come and sit down with us?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, come sit down with us." So walk into an empty banquet hall, and it's Ron Santo, Billy Williams, Randy Huntley, and Fergie Jenkins sitting at a table. And they invite me to sit down, and they're talking about, baseball back in the day. And the great thing was it was all inside jokes. Like, I don't know what was going on because it was Fergie would say something and Billy would say something. It was like two words, and Randy would be laughing the entire time. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I sat there for an hour and just listened to him talk, and that was kind of Ron's way of just who Ron was. So it was kind of it was a neat experience, and just kind of that's the last time I got an autograph since I was maybe 10 years old.
Where's that baseball now?
It is mounted actually next to Fergie. I gave Fergie Jenkins a golf lesson before we went out, and Fergie offered he wanted to sign a baseball for me as well after it. So I have Fergie Jenkins' baseball signed right next to Ron's baseball he signed for me. They're sitting on my mantle at home. So those are the only two autographs that I have.
You don't want any more.
I don't want any more.
There you go. Thank you, Kyle. That's a very cool story. Appreciate you sharing. Bunch of other good ones. Wait, there's a Barbara Eden story here on the line. Okay, Mike's nodding his head yes, so it sounds like something we all need to hear. We'll do that next. I'm Joe Ostrowski, 670 The Score. Joe Ostrowski with you, Sports Radio 670 The Score, sharing some autograph stories from the audience. We have a lot of autograph seekers out there, or at least when you're a child, which I have no problem with at all. Because once you started talking about it, then I realized, oh, yeah, I've asked for a bunch of autographs, not just Rick Wilkins. Going up to the 91 Bears roster, that crap roster. Going up to the Indians. I got some Astros. Yeah, Astros, that same spring training, I got Astros. I got Bagwell, Biggio, Killer Bees. I was a big Astros fan back then for some reason. Chris in Belvedere is now on 670 The Score. Joe Ostrowski.
How's it going, Joe?
What's up, Chris?
Awesome story going back to the NHL lockout when a lot of the guys were in Rockford. I sold Marcus Kruger a vehicle at work, and he asked me if I was a hockey fan. I said, yes, my autistic son loves hockey. And he said, well, you're going to the game tomorrow night then, and gave us tickets to the game. Wow. Took us down by the locker room after the game and asked my son who his favorite player was, and he told him it was Brandon Saad. Ended up taking him into the locker room, taking us in, and he met every player on the team. And as we left, my son, who doesn't know any better due to his cognitive ability, said to Brandon, he should come play hockey with Dad and him tomorrow. And Brandon asked, oh, yeah, where? And I told him it was just a neighborhood flooded backyard type pond thing. Mm-hmm. And he said, we'll be there. And him and Marcus Kruger and Andrew Shaw showed up.
Get out of here.
Skated with my son for an hour in the backyard. Backyards of the neighborhood. Some other kids showed up, and they real quickly signed for him and said, I'm sorry, but we're here with our friend Cross, my son.
Right.
As we're finishing up for the night, my son, not knowing any better, turns to Shawsy and says, Andrew, why did you write your name all over that kid's stuff? And Andrew tried to explain to him, what the autograph was. He goes, well, you're not writing your name on any of my hockey stuff because it's mine. And, I mean, they all got a good laugh. And believe it or not, afterwards, I've been able to keep in contact with Marcus. And not long after that, the lockout ended.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus called me and gave my son and I tickets a couple rows off the ice to watch him play the Jets. And those three guys came up to the glass and saw him in Chicago as well.
What a
awesome.
What a story. Chris, how old was your son at the time?
He was 7.
Man.
So,
wow. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button there, Chris. What were you wrapping up saying, Chris?
the best part of it was Shawzy's experience when he told him that he wouldn't be writing on any of his hockey stuff because it was his.
That's great. Man, you're not going to top that one. That is so cool. And most people listening, anytime they hear those three players' names moving forward, that's going to be something they think about. Very cool. Stephen DeKalb, you're on the score.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Steve.
Enjoying the show?
Thank you.
This was when I believe the Bears were still practicing at Lake Forest, or it might have even been Platteville, and I was just a kid. And I remember that there was a backup quarterback who was coming back from lunch, had a bag of fast food in his hand. A kid asked for an autograph, and he just blew by him, didn't respond. And then a couple minutes later, we saw Walter Payton with a bunch of kids around him, and he had a big smile on his face, shaking everybody's hand and signing autographs. And I remember that to this day, the difference between a backup quarterback for the Bears, I'd rather not say his name, just rude, just blew by the kid with a bag of fast food in his hand. And then here's a future Hall of Famer, one of the greats of all time, taking the time out of his day over lunch to not only sign autographs, but a big smile on his face, shaking hands, and taking the time. So I just thought that's just a lasting memory. So
is that so Steve Fuller was very mean?
Pardon?
I was just guessing some names.
Okay, number 7 for the Chicago Bears in the late 70s.
Oh, I
First
know.
name Bob.
Yeah. He's had some trouble, huh? Bob. Yep, we know about Bob and some of his issues since his playing days. Let's go to Joe in Wayne, now on 670 The Score. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Joe. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
This was my best. It was 40 years ago, and I went to O'Hare Airport, and I was flying to Florida for business. Back then, you could just walk up to the plane and, go and get right on the plane. And when I went to get on the plane, there was a tall guy with a long mink coat standing there giving a hug and kiss to supposedly his wife or whatever, a beautiful blonde in a full-length mink coat, too. So I got on the plane, and I was flying first class, and I sat down, and I go, wow, if that girl gets on the plane, I hope she sits next to me. So sure enough, the girl gets on the plane. She comes over, and she's in first class. She takes off her mink coat, rolls it up, throws it on the top, sits right next to me. She smiled at me. I said, hello. She sat down, turned on the light. She had glasses on, and the light was shining on the side of her glasses, and her initials were B.E. And I'm trying to figure out who she is and whatever. As we're taxiing down the runway, I said to her, I says, excuse me, are you Barbara Eden? And she looked at me and she says, yes. I says, well, hi, my name is Joe. And I tell you something, it was fantastic. It was the best 2.5-hour flight that I ever had.
I bet.
And she wrote a letter to the girls in my office because I told them they never believed that I flew with Barbara Eden. And for those that know Barbara Eden, she's I Dream of Jeannie.
Uh-huh.
And she invited me to her show in Orlando, and it was the most fantastic trip that I ever had.
I love hearing all these positive experiences. I want to squeeze in a few more before I get out of here. Mike in Homewood, what do you have?
Yes, I met Peter Mayhew, and if that name doesn't ring a bell, it's Chewbacca.
Yes.
The biggest jerk you can imagine.
Oh,
like 10, 12 years. 10, 12 years ago when they released that last Star Wars prequel.
Uh-huh.
There was a big convention in Indiana. All the Star Wars people were going there. And I was 15 at the time, and he was like the headliner. And so I go, and I'm about to, get my thing. My hands are full, and I put the program down. And he's so, jaded. He's about to sign the program for the convention, not the actual poster I had.
Thank you, Mike. I will say, we got mostly athletes here. I expect that being on the score. I did not expect the Chewbacca actor to be brought up. You follow Peter Mayhew on Twitter at the Wookiee Roars. How does he have 385,000 followers? Dave in Indian Head Park, you're on the score.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Got it.
Well, my story was I was in Nordstrom's downtown. I was probably about 13, and I thought there was a guy who walked past in a trench coat with collar up, head down. And I'm like, is that Michael Caine? And so I was bored. I ended up just following him, and he was making a beeline. He did not want to get talked to. Mm-hmm. And he ended up going into a Williams in Sonoma. And I'm like 13 at the time. I ended up stopping. I'm like, "Are you Michael Caine?" And he just turns and goes, "Yes." And I went, and I froze. I was like, "I loved you in Goldmember." And he just went, "Ugh," and he just walked away.
Oh, I'm sorry to ruin your day by complimenting you, you big jerk. All right, last one of the evening. Brian in Griffith, Indiana, now on the score. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Joe. This was 1991, the only time I had ever been in the skybox at any sporting event. We were at a White Sox game, and this is when the White Sox rolled out their new logo. And we looked my brother and I were there. I was 16, he was 13. We looked 2 skyboxes down, and we saw Charles Barkley and Rick Mahorn. They had just finished playing a playoff game against the Bulls. So when we went out into the hallway, they happened to come out. And they signed, the only thing that we had they could sign was these White Sox napkins with the new logo on it. They signed it. They were very nice. I'll tell you this, Rick Mahorn is a behemoth of a man, and there is absolutely no way Charles Barkley is 6'8". Because when I was 16 years old, I was 6'1", and I could almost look them eye to eye.
Really?
But they were very nice. I'm telling you, Rick Mahorn was huge. Rick Mahorn is just a huge man. Charles Barkley, I'll bet a paycheck he's not 6'8".
Yeah.
So I was very surprised when I went back into the skybox. One of the first things I told my dad, I said, "There's no way Charles Barkley's 6'8". So they were very cool. They were very cool.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Brian. A lot of people always say, yeah, much closer to 6'4", but he's saying eye to eye at 6'1". They added 7 inches onto that. That's quite an adjustment there. But hey, I believe him. That was fun. Thanks for participating, everyone.